In this demo, we will review the reporting and submitting of the Promoting Interoperability category. To start, we want to go to qpp.cms.gov and log into the system using our HARP credentials. If you do not have HARP credentials, you can always register for an account by clicking on the Login tab and going to the Register information. Once I enter in my account information, the next thing I want to do is click on I certify that the information that I am submitting is true, accurate, and complete. If I do not click on this, it will not let me log in. So once I click on here, click on sign in. Generally, you'll go through your multi-factor authentication where you'll have a code being either texted, called, or emailed to you, and you'll enter that information in. Once you successfully enter into the website, you will land on the overview page. You can see now that the performance year submission window is now open. So the first thing we're going to do is click on Start Reporting. From here, we'll be able to access all of the groups and other accounts that I am associated with based on my HARP credentials. The first item we're going to review is if you have a third-party intermediary reporting on your behalf. Once you log into the system and click on Report as Group, you'll be taken to an overview page. You'll see here that I already have a score for promoting interoperability based off of the submission that was made by a third party. Also, you can see that there is some information letting me know about the last update as well as my submission ID. The submission ID is helpful for requesting information from the help desk and being able to provide this detail. It's not considered PII, so it can be distributed without being encrypted. If I go to View and Edit, you can see the information that's associated is in a read-only mode. All the data that has been reported will give me my score data as well as the measures that I have reported on. I can also see at the top of the screen that my preliminary score is available. The next item we're going to review is if you are reporting and you do not have a third-party intermediary reporting on your behalf. If I go to the individual that I'm going to report for, click on Report as Individual, you'll then see that no information is associated with this individual. The first item we're going to look at is an upload that will not pass the validation. As part of the new reporting requirements for the Promoting Interoperability category, you must have 2015 certified EHR technology. The Cert ID from CMS must also be a part of your submission in order for it to pass the validation. We can see here that an error has occurred within my upload, and if I download my report, you can see specifically that the Cert ID within my submission is not meeting the criteria that's expected. I'm going to get rid of this one, go through and find my file with my correct Cert ID, and upload the information. You can see that my data has been uploaded successfully, and I can view my submission data at this point. I have my preliminary score, and if I scroll down, I can go into View and Edit. The information again, anything uploaded will be in a read-only format. Any type of changes that would need to be performed would have to then be eliminated from the system and then either a new upload or you can create a manual entry. So what I'm going to do is remove out the submission and create a manual entry submission for the category. By clicking on the Manage Data, you can then see I can remove out the submission that I have just uploaded. Once I click on Delete, I am then taken back to the screen that allows me to begin a manual entry. I can either click on the button here, or I can click on this link down here that will both take me to the same location. Similar to in previous years, the manual entry portion of the Promoting Interoperability is populated in a stage-wise manner. The first thing that you must do is complete the performance period. 90 days must be captured within 2015 CERT in order for you to pass the PI category. And choose my start date. If I do try and choose a date of less than 90 days, The system will not let me proceed any farther, and I'll get a notification letting me know that I must have 90 days, and anything less than that will result in a score of 0. Update my performance period. The next item that I'm prompted with is the entry of my Cert ID. Again, if you do not have a valid Cert ID, you will not be able to proceed forward. Once I enter in my Cert ID, you can see that attestation statements are then available for attestation. The first one that we have is ONC Direct Review Attestation. And then we also have the prevention of information blocking. Both of these are required. Third item that's available is the ONC Surveillance Attestation. This is optional, and you can attest yes if you have completed this. Once I have completed the attestation statements, I'm then available to complete the remainder of my submission. You can see at the top that we have a required amount of measures that must be completed in order for us to receive a score. At this point, no score has been awarded for my submission. If I go through and populate out my submission data, you can see that the changes are saved automatically. And once I have completed the reporting, I'm getting a check mark as well as it's letting me know that I've completed the data. New this year, we have 2 bonus measures that are available. If you have completed either the query of the Prescription Drug Monitoring Program or Verify Opioid Treatment Agreement, you can then attest or enter in the numerator-denominator information to receive a bonus measures associated with e-prescribing. The bonus for these 2 measures will not exceed 5 points. Health Information Exchange, we have the option to either report or we can choose our measure exclusion. We'll report our information for this item. And then for the support electronic referral loops by receiving and incorporating health information, there are 2 exclusions that are available for this measure. If you have less than 100, or if you are unable to implement the measure for 2019, you can claim an exclusion in order to complete the category for promoting interoperability. Once I select the item, I would then click on Submit, and you can see that I have claimed my exclusion as well as the reason for my exclusion. Providing patient access, we'll go through and enter in our information. As you can see, when I enter in the data, if I do not have a valid value in my numerator denominator, it will not be saved. It will not let me proceed forward. But once I've completed the information where the numerator cannot be greater than the denominator, I can proceed forward. Completing security risk analysis. And then we have our public health and clinical data exchange. Within this category, you can either choose from 5 different reporting options, as well as you can report one of the measures twice. If I click on yes, you can see that I've completed this. And then if I want to report the measure again, it will then populate out this data here. Additionally, there are multiple exclusions that are associated with this category. If you have a reason for exclusion, similar to the Health Information Exchange, we can choose one of our items and then click on Submit. I've completed the preliminary score, and based off of this information, I can see that I have a score of 25 out of 25. If I go back to the individual reporting page, we can see again all of my changes have been saved and my collection type was manually entered. If you change any details associated with your manual entry that then would change your score, it will then go back and revert the score back to a score of 0. All requirements must be fulfilled and completed prior to the close of the submission period, which is March 31st.